Yo, what is going on, everybody? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me know if you can see me okay. We are live right now on YouTube and Twitter. Yo, I wasn't even gonna go live today because it's been such a crazy day. Like I had a bunch of stuff. I was planning on leaving everything for tomorrow. Like, man, I hope that things don't get crazy because I can't put all this in one show. And boy, I couldn't wait. So like today, I'm gonna need y'all to bear with me because I'm like literally on the road trying to prep for the show. Before I get here and run it, before I got into my crib, ran upstairs, put everything together real quick to start live stream. I'm like still in my shirt that I was wearing today. So because like, dog, what's going on? Um, Aaron Mate puts out a tweet that I'm just gonna call a little bit suspect, a little bit weird. Got a lot of pushback for it. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna talk about it because it has to be discussed. It's not a personal issue but it's important because of who he is and what it can be perceived as. Piers Morgan has returned to form on all issues, including Gaza, but of course he's maintaining form on Iran, which we all expected, right? Trump has lost his motherfucking mind. I don't excuse my language if your kids is watching. Trump has lost his mind. We are watching Trump mentally deteriorate in front of our eyes. I can't even believe it. Y'all know Trump is Trump, right? I know we used to joke a lot. You know, I'm guilty of this. We joked a lot about saying, man, Twitter was a lot more entertaining when Trump was on, because you always knew he was going to say some wild shit. And we knew that, and that was cool. But it's not wild anymore. It's just scary and weird, and it makes me think, obviously, he's, got somebody's hand up his ass. He's being controlled like a puppet, but it's bizarre because based off of what we're seeing, you would think that Trump actually believes that he's the one who started this war and that the U.S. is actively fighting. Well, we are to some degree, unfortunately, but you would think that we're the ones actively fighting a full-fledged war with Iran. The way that he's talking, it is bizarre, bro. It really is. We're also going to talk about this attack that happened on the studio in Iran. I got to tell y'all a crazy story about that because, bro, I was literally about to do an interview. I'm not in Iran, obviously, but I was about to do an interview. I'm talking to one of the producers, and they don't open the message. I'm like, that's bizarre, because I'm like, it's maybe 30, 45 minutes. We usually run a test, and it got crazy from there. So we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna try to get to as much as Netanyahu holding his people hostage. Crazy work, bro. I mean, it's just so much to talk about. I'm going to try to get through as much as humanly possible today. Y'all let me know where y'all watching from so I can give y'all some shout outs real quick. We're going to get the show on the road. George smacked Piers back. George smacked Piers back to back from Miranda. Yeah, he did. That was crazy that he tried to pretend. That's what made it suspect, is like, bro, you don't know where it's at for real. Like, that's usually not how, and I can explain to y'all if y'all like during that segment. That's not how this stuff usually works. For example, when I go live, for example, when I went live on George's show, they knew like where my location. They didn't know like my exact precise location, but like they knew that I wasn't in a studio in Rio because I told them I'd operate out of my home. However, like when I've gone on RT, for example, I did an interview live and I was at the studio in Miami, and basically the other side has to know where the studio is located for logistical reasons. Like Piers, especially for a show that important or that big and that popular. So Piers is full of shit. So it makes everything even more suspect. And I'm glad that George Galloway had the balls to call him out and ask that question, because everything that Piers has said since and before makes it more and more likely that he's like a collaborator, dog. I mean, and let's be honest, right? Who's writing his checks? Rupert Murdoch. So come on. So we got Shuri in the chat. We got Jay in the chat. Man, Canada. Man. I heard Drake is out there beefing with politicians, and the politicians out there apologizing to Drake. Guess they remember who really runs Canada. So we got people right. Hey, but before we even get started, y'all, we trying to hit 1 million. Even if you want to help us do it for shits and giggles, dog, I just want to prove a point. I just want to prove that we can get 1 million followers by next year, like in less than a year. I just want to prove what can happen whenever an actual anti-imperialist, anti-duopoly commentator hits 1 million subs. I just want to watch the internet break, basically, because that's what's going to happen. Because you don't ever see it. Not somebody who hasn't worked for like a major news production company, a major, comes from a major journalist background, used to be an establishment collaborator and then reneged. Like, nah, you don't ever see it. So I just kind of want to see the internet break. And I actually got faith that y'all can do it. So even if y'all want to subscribe, I'm not even saying you got to watch every day. I'm not even saying you got to share every day. But I just want to see, I just want to hit 1 million subs just to be like, now watch what I do with this shit. Just so we can piss off the establishment, bro. Like just to piss off the duopoly. So y'all like this video and sub, bro. Just sub. Even if you sub right now, if you're watching, I don't care if you're watching from Twitter, go to YouTube. Sub right now. Go sub. I'm not even telling you gotta stay and watch. You should, because you're gonna learn something. But go sub right now. Sub. You can support the show, obviously, by clicking on the links in the description below. Thank you, everybody who's donated to the circumstances with my family. I'm not going to go into all that right now, but click on that link in the description on YouTube and it'll break down the story for you about what happened and how you can help. Shout out to the people who've already donated. We're actually about to reach our goal. Shout out to you guys. We got 2 weeks to the deadline. We're already about to reach the goal. Thank you guys so much. You can also become a Patreon supporter. You can also donate through super chats, etc. So, man, we gonna hop right into this. This nonsense, y'all. So y'all heard, I don't know if you heard, but the Israeli government has officially announced that they will not be allowing anyone to travel outside of Israel. Oh, excuse me. Halad. Nah, you can travel outside of Israel. You just need to be a businessman or a diplomat or a tourist. So let me find this. I know I shouldn't be laughing, but Lord, boy, listen, karma a fickle bitch. She a treacherous little hoe.
חשוב לי להבהיר, אנחנו לא נאשר יציאות של ישראלים לחול בשלב זה. מי שיוצא לחול הם אותם אנשים שהגיעו לבקר בארץ, אם זה תיירים, אם זה תגלית או דיפלומטים, שיחזרו לארציהם, אבל הם לא אמורים לחזור לארץ בקרוב.
I'm gonna let y'all read that again.
חשוב לי להבהיר, אנחנו לא נאשר יציאות של ישראלים לחול בשלב זה. מי שיוצא לחול הם אותם אנשים שהגיעו לבקר בארץ, אם זה תיירים, אם זה תגלית או דיפלומטים, שיחזרו לארציהם, אבל הם לא אמורים לחזור לארץ בקרוב.
Bruh. Now I want y'all to be mindful of who didn't deliver that message. Who didn't deliver that message? The Prime Minister of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu. Which is funny because his ass can't seem to stay off the internet lately, advocating for a war over a nuclear weapons program that doesn't exist. He can't seem to stay off the internet. This man has been making the rounds. But when it was time to tell everybody, all the Israeli citizens who aren't wealthy or diplomats that have connections, that they got to stay their asses right where they're at, all of a sudden he was nowhere to be found. Why do y'all think that is? Do y'all think it can have anything to do with the fact that it was Netanyahu who literally chucked up the deuces, flew to Greece, made sure his ass landed there nice, safely, and tucked away from all danger, and then said, hey, y'all, set this bitch off. Go ahead and start attacking Iran right now. I'm good. I'm straight. So y'all can go ahead and get this show on the road. Netanyahu literally fled the country before starting what could eventually be known to be the catalyst to World War III, that could be known as the beginning of the end of Israel, and then turned around and told Israelis, hey man, y'all gotta sit tight, dog. Y'all can't leave. Oh my God. Y'all, do y'all understand? This isn't ironic. This isn't irony. This is irony hilarious. Yo, y'all remember how these Israelis, these Zionists at large were coming out and justifying the massive civilian casualties in Palestine, in Gaza specifically? They were hiding behind one of two justifications, or both. Well, it's their fault because Palestinians are using each other as human shields. Hamas is using human shield. Human shield, human shield, human shield. Or they would say, no Palestinian is innocent. And therefore, whatever repercussions, whatever collateral damage may come of the hunt to go after the few they believe are truly guilty is of no consequence. If you have to kill them all, kill them all. Because even though we're going after these guys because these are the main perpetrators of whatever we're accusing them of, none of them are innocent. Dog. Karma is a fickle bitch. Y'all want to know what it looks like out there right now? Y'all want to know what it looks like right now in the bunkers of Israel? Hold up. Let me show y'all something. Because I know I shouldn't laugh, but Lord, baby Jesus. It's hard for me to gather up sympathy after what I just witnessed in Palestine the last fucking 2 years, a year and a half. It's gonna be real difficult. I'm not even gonna cap. Y'all can judge me all you want to. I really don't give a damn. Like, it's hard. I know, because I know how much I know how many of y'all support. I don't care how much y'all hated Netanyahu. But I know how many of y'all support the destruction of Palestine. Look, this is what they are right now. This is what they are with it. One last moment. Oh man. You think that they're upset? You think that they're scared? You think that they like being trapped like rats? You think that the fear that a bomb could fall on them at any moment in time, and knowing that they are unable to leave their country, has them petrified with terror? Not knowing if they will have enough substance to get through the next week, the next month, the next year. And if they do attempt to leave that area and go get sustenance, that they could be attacked at any given moment. You think that that's what they might be feeling right now? Because that's a bunker in Israel, y'all. That's a bunker in Israel. Trapped like rats. They packed in. And now, even if they left, because I'm sure some people are thinking to themselves, let me out. I'm about to go fly to so-and-so. You know, all of them got dual citizens. Not everybody, but a lot of them got dual citizenships. Or at bare minimum, a lot of Israelis aren't required to have, they're not strict visa standards, so they can just pick up and deuce. Yeah. Damn. How does it feel to experience 1/5, not even 1/5, 1/50th, 1/500th of what it's like to be a Palestinian in Gaza right now? And how does it feel to know that after the Israeli government has spent all this time accusing Palestinians of using each other as human shields, how does it feel to know that y'all are literally being used as human shields as we speak? Because listen, let me tell you how I know. Because you did it's not a matter of safety. Somebody would make an argument that it might be a matter of safety. He's trying to protect the civilians, that he's worried that they might be targeted. First of all, Iran has never shown a propensity to target civilian aircraft from any country, even Israel. I know, much to the chagrin of many people, but that's the truth. So, but even if that was the case, a civilian aircraft, knowing that it's full of civilians primarily, would be a less likely target from an adversarial nation during a war than an aircraft you know is going to be full of the the diplomats and business people who make Israel tick. Oh, human rights for all. Did you see any Black, Jewish, or Israeli people in those bunkers? Yeah, they're actually segregated. Hold on, I'll pull it up for you. That's not a joke, by the way. I'm being dead ass serious. Hold on. Hold up. I know. I forgot because I feel like I shouldn't even have to mention it, but yeah, there's actually segregated. Look, see, this is what we're dealing with. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's they got a, what is it when you fall in love with your captor? Stockholm syndrome, yeah. So yeah, they got them. They're separated though. You know, they can't be too close to them African Israelis or them, you know, Ethiopians. They can't be too close to them. Got to keep them at arm's reach. Shout out to Christian. What's going on? Thank you for the super chat. Yo, I got 5 on it. Keep doing your thing. Viva Palestine. Someone said God's will is being done in Israel. Look, I wasn't going to say it, but he did. Look. I don't know if God is a righteous God all the time, but I do know God is a vengeful one. I do believe that things come full circle, and sometimes we don't understand. We don't understand the will of this universe and this deity that we call God. But sometimes a hard head make a soft ass. Ain't gonna let you live out everything you think is right. Go ahead, keep up. You know how like you be doing with your kids when you just letting them build it up and build it up. Like, I'm watching. Keep going. Cause when we get home, boy, that's it. It's over for that ass. Keep going. Go ahead. No. Continue. Don't act like I'm here now. Because you was acting like I wasn't here 5 minutes ago. Look. You know what's crazy? Before we move on to the next topic about these bunkers and how people going crazy in these bunkers and how these people, I mean, you're seeing videos of Israelis crying and terrified. These buildings are wrecked. I know y'all saw that video from Iran. These buildings are getting wrecked. Wrecked, y'all. Wrecked. And Israel talking about they got like 2 civilian casualties. 3 civilian casualties, 4. There's a bunch of wounded. I got a question for y'all. Do y'all believe the numbers that are coming out of Israel? Why would you? You know, we have to put this in the context of the fact that there are videos. There were until Israel started arresting people who were recording the videos. But when this whole thing started popping off, there were videos coming out from Israeli accounts showing where these bombs were landing, these missiles were landing, and we were seeing also the counterattack, the interceptor missiles from Israel. But we were, remember, Iran made it clear that they were only going after what they had thought were military targets. Okay, but people were recording videos of the interceptor missiles from the Iron Dome being launched out of residential neighborhoods. Think about that. You put military assets in residential neighborhoods. Isn't that exactly what you just accused Hamas of doing? Isn't that what you accuse Hamas of doing? That's the human shield argument, isn't it? So maybe Iran knew, maybe Iran didn't know. I honestly don't. I can't tell you that part. I don't know. But what I can say pretty confidently is the civilian. If Iran has always tried its best to not conduct in military warfare that would result in collateral damage, because it's part of their religious doctrine. Like, that is how it's their culture. That's one of the reasons they have not made a nuclear weapon, because of the potential collateral damage. They're aware of what it could mean. But when you put military infrastructure literally in the middle of a fucking civilian neighborhood, there is zero chance, because we saw it get hit, guys. We saw it. And y'all got zero casualties. Y'all got 1, 2 casualties in 3, 4, 5. Why is everybody freaking out then? Why is Trump losing his goddamn mind? Why are they asking for the US to get involved? If Israel is winning, if they're not facing any severe or mounting casualties, they're the ones getting off all the attacks, and Iran is only hitting a few military sites, and there are no casualties. Why are y'all so pressed? Is it because you don't want to have to explain that the reason that y'all have mounting civilian casualties is because you're using them as human shields? And once again, every single confession every single accusation rather is a confession. Every single fucking one of them. It is crazy how accurate that statement is every time you mention Israel. That was everything. Every accusation a confession. I'm like, damn, because it's like whenever Israel begins to get committed to a narrative, y'all, right? Even when we're talking about like the fact that they're so obsessed with the idea of Iran with a nuclear weapon, and that they could be hiding it from the world, or that they're on the verge of making one, and they could use it to destabilize the region. They could use the fact that they have that power to destabilize the region to, like, you mean do what y'all are doing? Because y'all are the ones with the nuclear weapon, and y'all are the ones who won't let anyone near the nuclear weapon site to inspect your nuclear weapons, and y'all are the ones who are destabilizing the region. Like, y'all are making these very specific accusations that y'all are literally guilty of. I mean, you can't get any more specific. How do you make every single accusation you made regarding your justification in attacking Iran is literally everything that you are guilty of? They're like, man, we're just so worried that one day they could run up in our crib and start attacking us. Like y'all just did Syria? Then y'all just put a bunch of bases in Syria? They overthrew the government. Y'all just walked up in there and started fucking shit up. You mean like y'all said, y'all, oh, they're terrorists. You mean like the terrorist attacks y'all just conducted in Iran? Y'all literally set off car bombs. By the way, which we're going to get into. If you didn't see my hotspot video, I'll show y'all that at the towards the end. But y'all set off car bombs and use drones to attack civilian infrastructure. Like, y'all have terrorist cells embedded in Iran. This is literally what y'all are accusing Iran of being guilty of doing. Mind you, Iran is known in every other part of the world as being the country that helps eliminate terrorism. It's Israel that funds it. Who destabilizes the region again? Okay, who's assassinating foreign leaders on foreign soil? Who's assassinating foreign leaders in embassies? So now we go back to this question of the numbers that Israel's releasing. Y'all really think that they're telling the truth about how many civilians have been killed? How many casualties they've had? They're pulling troops from Gaza, y'all. Y'all know that. They're moving troops out of Gaza. to go deal with this Iran situation. Why are y'all doing all this if there are 2 casualties, 3 casualties? I did see the video of the base under the hospital. I haven't been able to independently confirm it yet. That's the only reason I'm not showing it, but I saw it. Israel's denying it, but it's Israel. But there's literally, it's a hospital, and if you look at the video, it's a bunch of military equipment. It is literally everything they claim Hamas did. Funny that. Yeah, so pretty sure they're full of shit. They're getting rocked. They're getting their shit rocked. And they didn't have, and what's crazy is Israel clearly planned this in advance. They planned all of this. To some degree, it looks like Iran, the reason that they responded the way they did last time and left it for what it was, like a lot of people felt like they should have just put the pedal to the metal and just finished it back then. And it's like they didn't want to give a reason for the West to get involved. Once again, we can argue with the strategy. I understand. But what they did do was they set off enough. They sent enough missiles, knowing how the Iron Dome operates, so that when Israel inevitably tries their bullshit again soon, they have no way to defend themselves because the U.S. has to replenish the Iron Dome. Those missiles have to be rebuilt and resent out. The money has to be reapproved. People forget this. You can't lose. I know we tend to see it like that. Or like, oh man, like there's missiles, and then you just like, it's like you're playing Call of Duty. You just fucking load them up and they just come back. No, dog. It's a process, and it's a process. As far as Israel is concerned, that has never been battle tested by a real military, by a real arsenal. I'm not talking about like we borrow some missiles from Iran. I'm talking about we are the source of those missiles. Them missiles that y'all got hit by Yemen, we gave them those. Them few times y'all been hit by Hezbollah, we gave them those. Them few times y'all been hit by Hamas, we gave them those. And after we gave them some missiles, them some missiles, them some missiles, them, and attacked your ass, we use only 5% of our total arsenal. I've said on this show time and time again. Israel cannot win a war against a real military, which is why they're begging the US to get involved. They're begging the EU to get involved because they're not equipped to beat a real army. They're only used to killing women, children, and animals. They got to attack from afar or really up close, but you know what I'm saying. They're not, they got to literally plant terrorist cells to be effective. But like I said, they're not trying to win a war against Iran, and I want to be clear about that. They are engaging in what looks like has always been a long game regime change effort that, in my opinion, has stemmed at least as far back as 2018, as far as this plan coming into fruition. At least. Because we know they embedded Mossad agents. We know that they've been trucking in bombs and drone parts for months, if not years. We know that Trump pulled the U.S. out of the JCPOA and just started sanctioning Iran and hasn't even explained what his alternative is. But he knew that the result would eventually be what? That they would enrich even more. And then he used that as an excuse saying, well, you need to come back and do a deal. The deal that is non-existent. It doesn't exist. What deal you fucking talking about? We ain't gonna get into that right now. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later. Now we're gonna move on to this conversation with Aaron Mate, because he said some shit, or he put out a tweet from his friend, supposedly who lives in Iran, and he came under attack for it. it's not looking pretty. I'm not gonna lie to you. People did not take it well, and I completely understand why. So Aaron puts out this tweet, y'all. He says, sharing this at the request of a friend in Tehran. Please be our voice. They're asking people to evacuate Tehran while it is one of the most populated cities in the world, and it is extremely densely populated. Please be our voice. Don't let Israel massacre us. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Could have stopped there. We don't support the regime. We went to the streets to fight for our freedom. But bombs are only ruining my beloved city, my beloved country. Please share. I'm panicking. We have no one by our side. No one. Yeah. That like time and place. It's a time and place situation. And the problem that people have, not with this person have a genuine criticism of their government. If they have a genuine criticism of their government, then that's fine. Every single country experiences that. That's why we vote. What do you like? We're aware of that. But it's the timing. It's a pattern with Aaron specifically. Because I need y'all to understand. Like, this is not taking away it's not trying to take away from anything positive. Any positive journalistic contributions Aaron has made. However, this is regime change rhetoric. This is quite literally the same rhetoric we heard coming out of Syria. Right? And unfortunately, in that situation, it's the same rhetoric that Aaron echoed. I'm not saying that this person is like wrong for how they personally feel. But as journalists, he's a journalist. He's using his platform to amplify a message in an unproductive way. What does this weird ass... What? This is a weird ass critique of I'm not going to call it a regime because, yeah, I understand what the technical definition of a regime is, but the intention behind the word regime instead of administration is to somehow suggest that Iran is not a democratic state. Iran holds elections for every position, including the president and the supreme leader. Now, the supreme leader has a little bit more of the selection process is a little bit different because it's by the assembly of experts, but the assembly of experts are like representatives basically, and the people elect them, and then those people, those experts or the assembly of experts, that assembly, they hold an election to select the leader. But they also have a president, and the president is elected through direct democracy. They also have a legislature, etc., etc., etc. Insinuating it is a regime is implying that it is some type of dictatorship. There is a hierarchy, like every government. There are balance of power, and some people got a little bit more power than others. And I'm sure that there are criticisms of this government from within. Yeah, that's how governments and countries work. But y'all actually believe that Iran is being bombed because of something that your people did? Your government did? The only thing your government did was have the audacity to not let Israel bend them over the table 24/7 and actually defend other people who Israel has attacked. But the main accusation is what? A nuclear weapon. Your government isn't making a nuclear weapon. So if you don't support your government doing that, that's cool. They're doing what you don't want them to. They're not doing what you don't want them to do. What they're being accused of doing, they're not doing. So what is the point of this? So there was some responses, y'all. I mean, I responded. I said, this is propagation of regime change rhetoric. I thought we had already evolved past this type of "but my brutal dictator" caveat. And this statement is assuming that all of the officials in Iran, including the supreme leader and president, aren't elected officials. Let's not do Israel's work for them. Like I said, it's not personal, but come on, bro. It's weird. We have a responsibility in this weird ass timing, dog. It's not the time. It's Nick. I'm assuming this is Nick. He said, Nico, you suggesting that is imperialist bombing people isn't helpful to resolve domestic disputes? Some might think me a bit of an extremist for this take. I know. But what can I say? Appealing to the sympathy of genocidal terrorists by echoing their justification for said terrorism is simply a non-starter for me. Not a complicated man, y'all. I'm really not. I just don't appeal to terrorists. I think that's a dumb idea. Oh man, so many people. Comrade Misty, dude, what the fuck? Him like that. Damn, even Samir Khan came out of nowhere, bro. Samir has been on hiatus. Y'all know she literally, because she got married, so she made an announcement that she wasn't going to be engaging in public life anymore. And she even came out of nowhere. Probably not the best idea to share pro-regime change rhetoric while Israel is actively trying to, change the regime. And my friend asked me to share isn't an excuse. You could have easily omitted the second bit and gotten the same message across. The fact you chose not to speaks volumes. Funny, I've never seen you throw leftist countries like Venezuela or Cuba under the bus this way. I guess Iran is just too socially conservative and Islamophobic for Baizu to defend wholeheartedly. It ain't gonna cap. I'm not gonna cap, y'all. That's where the pattern is. That's the problem. Because it's, for Aaron specifically, it's hard to ignore the fact that you don't think any Arab or Muslim leader is worthy of leadership. And you feel every single leader that the United States, every single regime, every single administration that the United States is trying to overthrow, that happens to be Arab or Muslim or a combination of both, every single one of them is a brutal dictator. Every single one of them is guilty. It's just my friends that they're in the minority. They're critics on the regime. Okay, so like, what's your answer? Because remember, Aaron got a lot of heat back in the day because of what? Because he was touting the Assad brutal dictator, white helmet, blah 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 blah. And then he got what he asked for: brutal dictator, removed. Brutal dictator, quote unquote, removed. Haven't really seen him talking that. I could have missed it. Maybe y'all could correct me on this, but I haven't really seen him talking that much about men. Because whether or not he's willing to admit it, he helped to manufacture consent for this replacement, for the idea that this replacement dictator terrorist would somehow be a welcomed alternative by the majority of Syrians. When instead, this man is he is literally let Israel move in the second day. Then told we ain't gonna fight Israel. They can just do what the hell they want to. Now he's allowing a formal occupation of the United States in Syria. Now he's actually allowing Israel to intercept missiles that fly over Syrian territory as Iran attempts to defend itself. That hasn't been part of the analysis I've seen from Aaron on Twitter. But he had so many criticisms of Assad. Just couldn't help himself. That's why people are upset. It's like, how many? This is an Iranian. You gotta do better. Michael, you're wrong here. This is Michael's take. Michael Tracy, who's friends with Aaron, of course, so take it with a grain of salt. A lot of people seem to think you should have refrained from disseminating this truthful, noteworthy information, which, by the way, I don't know if it's truthful, so I'm not going to pretend like I can agree with that, but whatever. It's truthful, noteworthy information because some may perceive it as regime change. No, it is. It's regime change propaganda. Like, it is. I just want to be there. This is regime change rhetoric. It's not perceived as that. It is quite literally that. Especially because the tweet has nothing to do. It's like a non sequitur of logic. the justification being used to invade Iran, to attack Iran, is that they have nuclear weapons. The regime that you don't like is not engaging in that behavior. So why are you trying to throw the regime under the bus thinking it's going to save your ass? How does that make any sense? How does this tweet further the goal of peace? It might, once again, like Samira said, like others have suggested, if you would have just stopped at the beginning, maybe at the end, and not include that little part in the middle, you would have gotten the message across. But this is regime change propaganda. Like, there's no other way to slice it, my guy. And sometimes you got to take the L and slide off. Like, damn, yeah, my bad, messed up. Oh, hey, players messed up. It's cool. It's true. Like, it happens. Okay. Like I said, it ain't a personal thing, but like, it's a pattern. And in the case of Aaron, unfortunately, it begins to look like it's personal to him. Shit, what the hell, Aaron? I mean, dog, they coming at, look, Be Our Voice. Look, this is Indica. Be Our Voice, white man, please, bro. Bro, I can see and hear Iranian people fine. We have auto translate. Oh my God. Who's saying, as a journalist, you know what you were doing, sharing a message, my ass. Look, bro. This is how people feel. Because I would ask, as many people ask, what was your goal? What was your goal in making that tweet? What was your goal in making it? Look, this is at the this was posted under the under Aaron's tweet. They said, it's funny how you always seem to make the same type of friends wherever you go. Coincidence? I don't think so. As I keep saying to people, don't ever trust the petty bourgeoisie types. Here's you talking about your friends in Gaza, and you see me do.
But I want to say something, because I want to be faithful to and true to the friends I have who are still in Gaza. In my small sample size, they would love it if Hamas surrendered and stopped all this and let all the remaining captives go, because they're living through hell, and they didn't sign up for this. You know, they didn't. And what is it ultimately achieving?
Nah, I'm not going to pretend to speak for all Palestinians, because Lord knows. However, what you ask? So I mean, not for nothing, but one of the only talking points that had some validity to it is the fact that Palestinians were cheering on October 7th because the operation was to get hostages from Israel so that people could get their tens of thousands of friends and family members back that were being held hostage by Israel. Ain't like 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, 100. No, thousands of Palestinian hostages. There were massive celebrations because there was finally a chance to have some leverage over Israel that they had never had, or at least many of them in their lifetime had never had. Now, does that mean that there are no Israelis that have like some reservations or some conflicts with Hamas? Or Palestinians, excuse me. Of course, there are Palestinians who don't like Hamas. There are people in every situation, in every government, every country that don't like the actions of the people who are in charge. That is literally how a polity works. It's called politics. But do y'all actually believe that it's Hamas's fault that there's an apartheid genocide happening right now? And do y'all believe that the majority of Palestinians believe that? Because from everything that we have seen, like the majority, because he even said that, now my friends might be the minority in the few that I've met. It's like, but that's what makes it weird, bro. It's always your friends that are in the minority. And it's always the fact that you seem to lean towards that direction. This minority belief system. this minority ideology in whatever group, oppressed group at the time, is experiencing chaos and regime change and a disruption in their livelihoods. Like it's weird, bro. Like, okay, Hamas is the problem. Before Assad was the problem. I'm pretty sure, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure in the past I've heard him talk about Gaddafi in the same way. And Gaddafi was the opposite of he was a problem for the Zionists. That boy was never the problem. Y'all go look at the economy under Gaddafi. Look at the free housing guaranteed housing that was given under Gaddafi, guaranteed healthcare that was given under Gaddafi. And y'all go tell his people that are living in fucking open market slavery right now, while militia battle it out to see who's going to run the country. Y'all go tell them that Gaddafi was a problem. And now it's the Iranian regime. We went to the streets and blah, 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, cool. They're protesting in the U.S. Okay, so does that mean if Russia, for example, decided they wanted to bomb the fuck out of the U.S. because Biden won, like the last election, just going to use that as an example, right? They saw the people in the street during January 6th. They saw those videos on the internet, said, man, you know what that means? If they won't let that minority, you know, we really don't know who won. Let's keep it a band. We know how these election systems work. But like, if they won't let that minority president or the president or the presidential candidate with the minority supporter come out and place that man in office, then we gonna bomb the hell out of them until they do. Yep. How much goddamn sense does that make, y'all? We gonna conquer their country. We gonna bomb those people. That's how we gonna help them out. What? Let me explain to y'all something. Because somebody made a comment. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find it. And I hope this person on Twitter is watching me right now. Because I'm going to explain something. I love how people make these weird assumptions about me and my life and what they think I do and don't know. It's bizarre. Not going to lie to you. Pretty sure I know where it comes from. But we ain't going to talk about that right now. This person responded to me. Pull it back up for you guys. And I like hearing why people think the way they think. So I love responding to people on Twitter. I love responding to people on Twitter because I just want to know why people, because sometimes it can literally just be a misunderstanding. So I had to clear things up. But this person said, Blumenthal, Max, went to Iran and heard a wide variety of viewpoints. This is also assuming that Max agrees with Aaron. I'm going to go on a limb and say he doesn't. But anyway, considering it's a direct quote, that's an assumption, Aaron honored a request to release a plea from a victim of Israeli bombs. That's not necessarily reflective of his viewpoint. Agreeing with the decision to do so is another story. But it is a reflection of his viewpoint. I mean, has Aaron said it's not? Out of curiosity? Because there's been, if I'm not mistaken, it's been hours now. There's been plenty of opportunity for him to make it clear. This is not my viewpoint. This is the view. And I want to make that clear. This is the viewpoint of the person who sent me this message, and my relationship with this individual. It is that important to me that I felt like I have a responsibility to put this message out, not as a journalist, but as a friend. However, this is not reflective of my personal views regarding Iran's government. Now, Aaron is more of a traditional journalist than I'll ever be. So the fact that I know how you would frame that as a journalist who's intending to be objective while simultaneously lending sympathy and empathy to your friend with your platform. If I knew how to deliver that message, I know goddamn well he does. That's the problem. At a certain point, it looks intentional. Right? Like, by the way, I can tell you right now, Max is not a spook. I can tell you right now, I'm telling you as a person who sat down with him and directly asked him about his relationship with his dad. Like, and you know, it's uncomfortable. I'm gonna put it like that. It's you know, they try to leave politics out of stuff, but like obviously Max is Max and his dad is his dad. And it's uncomfortable. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's to the point where I'm not gonna reveal certain details, but like there's some things that Max has gone through personally that y'all wouldn't even believe, because like they're waiting on him to like do what your daddy told you to do or be like your dad, and then he just won't do it. And so people come out and organizations come out and punish him for it and try to drain him in various ways, and come after his family over it. So, but you know, like Max and Aaron, for example, this is like a public dispute. So I don't mind. Like Max, y'all forget whenever Aaron was on that COVID trip, Max and Aaron, they did not get along. They were not on the same team. It took a while for them to start streaming together again, specifically because of how different their stances were on that issue. And they damn near won't talk about it on the stream together at all, probably because it would just lead to an argument. So that's why it was weird. This person decided to say, well, Max went to Iran recently. Okay, and what the fuck does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, Max. I'm pretty sure Max would have spent at some point Christmas with Hillary Clinton as a child. His dad worked for the Clinton administration, so that makes sense. But like, I'm going to hold an 8 or 9-year-old Max accountable for 40-year-old, or I'm not going to hold 40-year-old Max accountable for like 8-year-old Max. That would be unjust. So my response to this individual was, no one will deny that every single country has people who support and don't support whatever administration is in charge. That's why elections exist. But when Iranian civilians are dying in car bomb terrorist attacks by Israel in an attempt to destabilize the entire nation and recreate it in the image of the empire, every responsible anti-imperialist journalist knows that it isn't the time to all of a sudden start pushing regime change talking points vaguely disguised as a disagreement over domestic politics. Just like it's irresponsible to butt Hamas in the middle of a genocide because we know it's an attempt to manufacture consent and it ignores the actual problem, which is the genocide. And by the way, I wrote that. I didn't even know at that point that Aaron, that I didn't see that clip of Aaron. That just was a fucking coincidence. I didn't even know. But I'm just like, it's obvious, like, right? Why are we pretending like Hamas is the problem? Hamas is out there massacring hundreds of thousands of people, killing peace deals, opening up a front in the West Bank for some reason where there is no Hamas. We really like, is Hamas the problem? Shit, not even the people that funded him, because that was Benjamin Netanyahu who funded him initially. Because Benjamin Netanyahu admit he has a nasty habit of trying to fund counter militia in Gaza to counter the militia that he helped to prop up. He recently admitted that. He recently admitted that he's funding a counter militia group to combat Hamas. And it was a secret up until he came out because he was worried it was going to get leaked. So now, so whatever news we hear about Hamas, we don't even know if that's legitimate. Because this is what Mossad does. The individual. Oh, I don't. This individual says, I agree. I just wanted to add context for others who are not as familiar with Aaron's work. While this may be an error in judgment, I wouldn't want people to think it's reflective of his entire career. But unfortunately, it is kind of reflective of his entire career. You feel me? Like, that's the problem. It's kind of reflective of his career. It's what we've seen. It's a pattern. That's why it's not like this is the first time he's done such a thing. And if it was the first time, people probably wouldn't be so like, okay, it's just a mistake. also, once again, had the ability to caveat, hey, I'm only passing this message as a friend. That is the only thing that's happening here. Right? This person said, you're misreading the message. And, I'm misreading it. I said, no, I'm not. I recognize but Assad, but Gaddafi, but insert leader of country the U.S. is trying to overthrow here when I see it. They said, you are, but it is what it is. How am I misreading this? How could I possibly misread that, y'all? The message is pretty fucking clear. And by pretty clear, I mean it makes no sense. And the timing is horrific. Either I'm misreading it. No point to argue with somebody that's less familiar with the situation and people. Nothing Aaron posts or you reply, oh, I'm assuming posts or reply to me will change what is in motion. Nothing Aaron posts or, okay. This is what I'll be talking about. That is a weird assumption to make. Why would you assume that Aaron is more familiar with the Iranian people than I am? That's like a really weird thing to say. Like, because he's not actually. So I can actually tell y'all the story. So literally, as like maybe 20, 30 minutes, well, about 45 minutes before the bombing happened at the studio in Iran, I was texting one of the producers. And this is not some one-off situation. Okay, this is I'm friends with multiple Iranians that I talk to on a regular basis. And in this particular case, I was talking to an Iranian who was literally in the studio. Usually we start the testing, make sure to do our tech check about 45 minutes to an hour in advance. But I messaged and they didn't even open the message, which is bizarre because that usually doesn't happen. And then about 25, 30 minutes later, I see the video that studio had gotten attacked. And so I don't know about Aaron, but I was getting live updates about the health and if everybody's okay. And I was getting live updates in real time from people in Iran. Like, not like, oh man, somebody randomly. No, like in real time, because I was actually supposed to go on an interview. Now, we didn't do it because obviously y'all saw what happened. So my point being, and this isn't I go on Iranian, y'all don't know because it's Iranian TV, but I go on Iranian TV like once or twice a week. I talk to your Iranians weekly. You dumb motherfucker, you. I don't know why y'all think that y'all are weird, guys. Y'all haven't figured out by now. I'm worldwide Niko. I'm here for the culture. That's all I do. That's all I'm interested in. Like, one of my favorite ex, I call her my best ex. She's Palestinian. We still friends. Like, why would you assume that Aaron, some random Jewish kid from Canada, would know more about Iran or Iranian people than myself? What, because Max went to Iran? Oh, these people just be getting on, and they just be getting on the internet and don't even think. They don't even think. But no, I can almost guarantee Aaron doesn't even have more Iranian friends than me, prior to me even being a journalist, by the way. He probably had nowhere near. I've gone to college in the research triangle, ladies and gentlemen. If y'all don't know what that is UNC, Duke, NC State. I went to UNC at Chapel Hill. Bro. And I can guarantee you this, most of them don't want to be attacked under false pretense of a nuclear weapon they don't have. I don't care how much they agree or disagree with the local politics of Iran. Just like there are some people who might disagree with local politics in Russia. Ask them who they want to be their president, and if they want anybody interfering with that process. Ask them. People be saying the dumb, like I said, it's not a personal thing against Aaron. It's like, it's a pattern, my guy. Because it's like Samira said, and I have had a lot of disagreements with Samira lately, but I do not disagree with her in her recognition of the reality. It's like, wow, weird how you don't have these criticisms of Cuba, of Venezuela. And she says more conservative countries. What's funny about Venezuela is that you can make an argument that Venezuela is actually a somewhat conservative nation. They're not Muslim, so they're not like that type of conservative. They don't go that far because of the cultural differences in religion. But Venezuela has a conservative nature to them culturally, even if their politics are not cultural, are not conservative. Like Iran is only conservative culturally, but their politics obviously indeed are not that conservative. But it ultimately comes down to, bro, it looks like a bad look when you are a white Jewish popular journalist from Canada living in the US, well-to-do, from a successful family, and you won't ever advocate holistically for regime change, but you say everything except for I support regime change. If you say everything except, like, it's literally, yep, they're guilty of everything the U.S. is accusing them of doing, everything that Israel is accusing them of doing. I don't want them to be overthrown, though. I don't want to go to war. Okay, so like you support regime change, but you're a punk. That's basically what it sounds like. I'm not saying that's what he is, but I'm just saying that's what it comes off as. Or it looks like you're trying to protect your career. Like, my guy, it comes off as suspect when you always do this with Arabs and Muslims, but never with the Maduros of the world, the Evo Morales of the world. Like, you don't do that with them, but you do that with them. Like, it looks a little bit suspect is all I'm saying. What was your goal, I guess, would be the question. What was your goal? And if your goal is purely to communicate a message, why did you not add the caveat? This is not representative of my beliefs. This is not representative of where I stand outside of wanting peace. Why didn't you just put that caveat? And literally no one would have had any complaints. Oh, okay. He's just communicating a message for a friend. I feel you. Cool. It's like, literally, that's all it would take. That's all it would take. That's sufficient enough for y'all, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Make sure y'all like this video. Make sure y'all share, subscribe. We got to hit 1 million, y'all. Like I said, even if you just subscribing for shits and giggles and you never plan on watching again, help us get to it. We're going to get 1 million in a year. I know it. I feel it in my bones. I can feel it. It's going to piss so many people off, and I'm here for it. That's really what I want to do. I'm not going to lie to you. It seems petty, but I'm a petty individual. So here we are. Like I was saying, is that sufficient enough for y'all? If you would have put that out and then put the caveat, hey, just let everybody know this is not representative of my views as a journalist or, of the situation. Like, I'm literally just communicating a message for a friend because I feel like I have a responsibility to do so because, like, wouldn't that be sufficient for y'all? That would have been sufficient for me. That would have been sufficient for me. But like, stop using. You always pick the weirdest times to advocate for regime change. Even if it is subtle, even if it is vague, we know that manufacturing consent is part of the regime change process. You don't have to fire a bullet to help engage in regime change. You think that they were paying all these fucking journalists using the money from the USAID to shoot with guns or shoot with their pens in their tweets, in their videos, in their publications. War isn't always fought on the battlefield. It's not always fought in the streets. A lot of the times nowadays, war is started, and sometimes it is more effective when it is started and fought online before we even get a chance to see a bullet fired. Just saying. Really quick. Yeah, I got a question. Is Trump losing his ever-loving mind? Is Trump going crazy? Have y'all seen some of these tweets from Trump? Look, we already kind of know, like, yo, Trump is a puppet of Israel, blah, 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 blah. He helped to cover up this attack by pretending like he was engaging legitimate negotiations with Iran, like blah, blah. Yeah, okay, that's one thing. But his tweets recently, or I don't know, not his tweets, his posts on True Social recently, starting to make me question him, like mentally. Cause it's like he's becoming the worst mentally deteriorated version of himself. And like, we know that Trump does like to drink his own Kool-Aid. We are aware of that. But this is something different. Look at this shit. Like, look at this. We know, look, what this is weird. We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out. Kill. What? Okay. That's bizarre. At least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Well, what? Or our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. What is he talking about, y'all? Why would there be missiles being shot at American soldiers? The only reason that there would be missiles launched at military assets is if you involved yourself in a war that we didn't start. We weren't the United States. The United States wasn't part of. And that is only happening because Israel couldn't keep their hands to themselves. Based off of a lie, by the way, that you did help perpetuate. And an insane level of hypocrisy, considering the only one who's shown an egregious and audacious lack of transparency while still maintaining a nuclear weapon that everyone knows they have is Israel. So what the fuck? What is going on with this man? Did you just threaten to bro? My man just threatened to kill the leader of a country, bro, in broad daylight on social media, and he is talking as if the United States is we're the principal aggressor. Like, I know that we're involved. I'm not an idiot. I know we're helping. I know we're helping to intercept missiles. I know they're trying to convince Congress to send soldiers to help Israel because Israel's bitch made and they can't fight their own wars. They were always expecting to drag us into it. We all knew that's what the plan was. I said nothing slick to a can of oil. Y'all been knowing this. Okay. But why is he talking as if it's like he talking like we're in Iraq or we're in Afghanistan still or like it's bizarre. Look. Where's the other one at? Damn. I gotta find it. But he literally put out a tweet. He just put out a tweet. Or not a tweet, True Social. I keep saying tweet, but it's on True Social. Look, here we go. Here. He's losing it. Unconditional surrender. To whom? Who are you asking them to surrender to exactly? And what exactly are they like? I need y'all to think about what are they surrendering to? How can you what would surrender look like in that situation? I'm out of curiosity. If you, from Trump's perspective, what would surrender look like in this situation? Stop firing missiles. Like, nah, like y'all definitely just set off a bunch of fucking car bombs in my country and try to blow up a studio and have been attacking civilian infrastructure. And I found out that y'all have embedded Mossad agents and literally created a drone fucking factory and was moving drone pieces and missile pieces and bombs using trucks, smuggling them into my border. So like, nah, first of all. But even beyond all that, we didn't start this. What does surrender even look like? You want us to stop firing? Okay, will you make Israel say that they're gonna stop firing? Because the only reason we're attacking is because we're responding to Israel. Unconditional surrender. What the fuck is he talking about? And why is he talking as if they would be surrendering to the United States? He is talking as if he is asking for them to surrender under the terms and conditions of the countries who planned this attack. Right? Isn't that what he's talking like? I want to really quick, if y'all don't mind, because there's a lot of people here that didn't see it. I want to show y'all this hotspot video that I did yesterday, because y'all need to understand this isn't something that like, oh man, like it's about nuclear weapons. This isn't about something that just happened last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 3 months ago. This is years. This was always a plan. This was always going to happen. And there was literally nothing at all whatsoever Iran could have done to prevent this from happening, except for maybe make a nuke. If they made nuclear weapons, they probably wouldn't be in this situation. I'll be honest with you. You know, like I said, some people debate that. They don't like that reality, but like, that's how I feel about it. Check out this hotspot there. All over their country. Iran has been arresting Mossad agents and Mossad collaborators all over their country since this conflict between them and Israel began. And I think it's important that we discuss the real implications of what this possibly means. First of all, Israel would like everybody to believe that this attack on Iran was about the recent breakdown in negotiations regarding their nuclear weapons program. But from what we can see so far, that's bullshit. For example, Israel said they were going after military and nuclear facilities, but instead they detonated car bombs, killing civilians and targeting civilian infrastructure. We also know that Israel reportedly spent months, not days, smuggling in parts for drones that were rigged with explosives in suitcases, trucks, and shipping containers that were subsequently used to target civilian infrastructure and mostly kill civilians. You heard that time frame correctly, ladies and gentlemen. Months, not days, not weeks. They have been smuggling in these supplies for months. Oh, but it gets even deeper, because Iran even discovered a drone manufacturing workshop right under their own roof. So with the information we have now available to us, that the United States was well aware of this attack from Israel, and the fact that Mossad agents have been embedded in Iran for at least months, but obviously for a lot longer, for them to set up the logistics and receive these drones, these bombs, these missiles, this technology in advance, it's time that we start asking some hard questions. The main question being, was this all just part of a long game regime change strategy by Israel in the United States? Because even though we've heard over and over again Trump continue to lambast Iran for not being willing to negotiate, we got to remember that the only reason that there's a necessity to renegotiate is because it was Trump himself who pulled the United States out of the JCPOA and then began sanctioning Iran without offering them an alternative. And of course, his excuse was it's because under the JCPOA, somehow Iran was still going to have the capability of making a nuclear weapon that they had never provided any proof that Iran was making. That was all the way back in 2018. And the US has been tap dancing and refusing to negotiate ever since then. The assassination of Soleimani on foreign soil, a man who obviously has nothing to do with nuclear weapons programs, but would be extremely important to take out if any regime change effort were to take place. Not to mention, Trump himself admitted that John Bolton was actively trying to conduct regime change in Iran. And he didn't necessarily critique the fact that he wanted to conduct regime change. He just critiqued his strategy. Fast forward, the United States and Israel helps to overthrow Syria. Israel immediately establishes bases in Syria, and the United States moves to formalize their occupation of Syria. So now, what would have been a strategic area of operation for the Iranian government can no longer be used because the United States, Israel, and its allies can intercept their missiles even in Syria with the full endorsement of this new dictator, terrorist president that Israel helped put in. An endorsement that would have never happened. Support that would have never taken place under the Assad administration, which is probably why Israel was so quick to move in and establish military strongholds in the area the moment Assad was overthrown. And then we look at the fact that, yeah, Israel did attack some military officials and they did attack some scientists, even though these scientists have not been proven to be working on a nuclear weapon. But what about the 800 other civilian casualties? What about dropping bombs on a civilian television studio in Iran? What about the fact that Israel bombed Tehran's police headquarters, as if this is the only police headquarters in the entire world where their police officers double as rocket scientists? And then we bring it all back to the fact that the United States was only pretending to negotiate with Iran so that Iran would let their guard down so that Israel could carry out this attack. And the man responsible for doing so, Donald Trump, was also the man responsible for pulling the United States out of the JCPOA, sanctioning Iran, and effectively causing the necessity for negotiations to happen to begin with, because he ended the treaty that was already in place. Do the math, everybody. Israel and the United States have merely been biding time and placing their pieces on the chessboard to commit regime change. This was never about a nuclear weapons program. Placing Mossad agents and assets all over Iran months to years in advance, assassinating military leadership, taking out hundreds of civilians to create desperation and panic, taking out the capital's police headquarters so that they could not maintain order, quickly erecting military strongholds in a country that, in Syria, was once one of Israel's greatest adversaries, turned one of their greatest allies, and what can only be described as an elaborate terrorist cell placed in Iran months in advance that is literally carrying out terrorist attacks to destabilize the nation. Both Israel and the United States knew they could not go toe-to-toe with Iran on even ground. So it looks like they have been carrying out a years-long plan for regime change. It didn't matter if Iran created 0 nuclear weapons or 100 nuclear weapons. They were going to attack Iran, and they were going to attempt to overthrow their government. Am I wrong, y'all? Oh, I mean, listen, I'm not that much of a fan of puzzles, but Lord, baby Jesus, it's too many coincidences. There are too many coincidences Y'all know what I've found mildly hilarious, but also weird, like kind of like disturbing? How Trump has constantly said since this conflict started, Iran could come to the table and make a deal right now, and they should come to the table and make what deal? What deal? What deal, guys? What are the details of this invisible deal that Trump keeps referring to, and why are his people not calling him out for repeating this lie? And there are former Trump supporters. I want to say like none of his former supporters have come out and criticized him for this, but there are a lot of MAGA supporters, generally speaking, that are not talking about that very specific thing. Like, we know that they're lying about the nukes. Okay, cool. But like, what he keeps pretending as if the ball is in Iran's court. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? He keeps pretending as if there is an out here for Iran other than to wage war in defense of their nation. He keeps pretending as if, y'all know what I'm talking about, the deal. He gets the deal, man. All they got to do is take the deal. All they got to do is accept the deal. What deal? What deal are you referring to, my guy? What are you talking about? And why do you keep repeating it? And why is no one bringing that up? Come to the table, make the deal. Okay. Well, show us the details. I'm sure it's that deal is as real as a ceasefire agreement that Israel's presented to Hamas. There is no deal. He pulled the U.S. out of the JCPOA, and even the EU was like, hey, bro, what are you doing? Like, are you trying to set shit off? He pulled the United States out of the JCPOA. Iran waited a year trying to get Trump to honor the agreement that was made under the Obama administration with the JCPOA. A year they waited, y'all. They said, fuck it, because a year while Trump was actively sanctioning them, not because they didn't violate anything. They didn't even violate the JCPOA. Iran has been subject to more inspections than any other country in the world. They couldn't find anything on them. That's why all the other countries are like, man, we can't really do nothing if they're not doing anything. And Trump was like, I'm taking my ball and going home. And we're going to sanction y'all. And everybody was like, yo, what? Because you have to think about it in the context. It did not happen in a vacuum, y'all. That Trump pulling them out of the pulling the U.S. out of the JCPOA happened around the same damn time they assassinated Soleimani. While they were negotiating with Saudi Arabia on a future oil partnership. While Iran was helping to arm the Houthis really against Saudi Arabia. While the United States was arming Saudi Arabia. And this is why I truly in my heart and soul believe, y'all, even partially, not entirely, but a large part of the United States and NATO literally using Ukraine as a sacrificial lamb to keep Russia occupied is because they know that Iran is too important for Russia to just let slip through their fingers and allow the empire to overthrow at this moment. Iran and China. Think about how all of a sudden the entire Trump administration has switched up all the rhetoric on Russia in the last week or so. Have y'all not? I know that's kind of like slid under the radar a bit. But all of them have been slowly changing their rhetoric. Think about the hawkish. It went from we have to try to figure out a way to do business with China, in a peaceful manner, even if we disagree with them, and even if we're trying to act within our self-interest, we have to try to figure out a way to do business with them in a peaceful manner. It went from that to like threats of war against China now, out of nowhere. Like it's like unprovoked shit, bro. Unprovoked. Because you cannot have China now economically is where China is a bigger deal. Obviously, Russia is the muscle. I think that Trump actually somehow believed that this tariff war was going to end up being favorable to the United States' efforts to cripple China economically so that they cannot help in the Middle East during this regime change effort. Yeah, that didn't work out. However, they know that Putin is smart enough to not overstretch his military and to keep them occupied. And the EU knows this as well. Starmer specifically knows this. He's not part of the EU. It's, the UK is the UK. They're their own thing. But that little group, he knows. They know. Putin is too smart to overstretch himself. So how do you make sure he stays occupied so that he can't get involved in Gaza, so that he can't get involved in Iran, so that he can't save the day in Syria like he's been able to do in the past? You keep him occupied in Ukraine. They even had this man having to keep up with what's going on in Africa because Ukraine is literally sending soldiers there, arming terrorists with US and NATO weapons and training them. They're sending Ukrainian soldiers to train terrorists in Burkina Faso, in the Sahel region, and Russia is having to help because Russia is not going to let this shit slide with Iran. They can't. They can't afford it. The world can't afford it. BRICS can't afford it. Everyone knows it. The global South cannot afford it. We cannot let Israel have control over Syria and Iran, and we know Lebanon's next if that happens. And once those two things happen, Iraq is whatever is that whole situation is already weird as it is, but they will be trapped. They will be in a rock and a hard place, and Iraq will do whatever the U.S. tells them to do, and whatever Israel tells them to do at that point. The Greater Israel Project will be on its way to completion. And I don't know what Jordan's thinking is about to happen and what Egypt thinks is about to happen, but y'all know y'all next. Y'all can kiss Israel's ass all y'all want to, but y'all are next. I'm just saying. But Russia will not allow it to happen. But the only way you can try to mitigate the possibility of Russia getting involved, and I'm not even saying that's going to completely stop them getting involved, but I'm saying the only way you can mitigate the possibility of Russia getting involved is to keep them occupied in Ukraine. The problem with that, though, is if Russia needs to end that shit, Russia can. But Putin is not trying to end it in the ugliest way possible. However, they have the capabilities of doing so. And if it means saving Iran, I wouldn't put it past them. And I would be terrified if I was Ukraine right now. I would be terrified. Because if Russia got to, like they say in Brazil, acabar com eles. If he got to end them motherfuckers to hurry up that situation, because right now he's been really reserved in how he's gone about his business in Ukraine. Everybody knows it, regardless of what the propagandists try to tell you. He's been reserved. They have not gone balls to the wall against Ukraine because they're trying to minimize civilian casualties. But if he got to get it over with so that he can head over to Iran, don't put it past him. Because he don't like war, but that's a cold, calculating motherfucker. So, lastly, man, we got to look at this clip of George Galloway going in on Piers Morgan. First of all, Piers has returned to form. Piers is back to being Piers Morgan. I thought it was an old tweet when I first saw it, but no, it's Piers Morgan. Hold on 1 second, let me pull it up for you guys.
Exclusive satellite images.
Look at this shit. Oh, Hamas 100% beheaded and raped innocent people on October 7th. The fact that you don't think they did just proves that what a loathsome liar what a loathsome liar and propagandist you are responding to Professor Morandi. Oh, let me pull it up for you guys. Sorry, I thought I already pulled it up. Yeah. Yep, it's Piers Morgan for you. You know what? Didn't I tell y'all this was coming? I know once again, I ain't say nothing slick to a can of oil. I know y'all knew, but I just gotta say that I did say. I'm like, I don't know what y'all getting all excited about. I'm not about to congratulate this motherfucker for. Oh man, I disagree with Israel killing children. I think that I finally reached that conclusion. Like, y'all want me to congratulate this motherfucker for being a year and a half late for agreeing that killing children is bad without a caveat? I'm not about to congratulate him for that. Nor do I believe it's genuine. It was just for the night. It was a one night stand. It was a one night stand of empathy. And now, he's already left. He's already out the door before the coffee even got made. Arguing with Morandi of all people, which is crazy. And y'all know that Morandi was in that studio where Morandi was getting interviewed. Y'all, I know this is crazy. It's just like weird, not a coincidence. Or no, actually, yeah, I guess it was a weird string of events, coincidence of events. In that same studio where he was getting interviewed, in the same studio that I was preparing, to do an interview in, that studio was attacked while Morandi was involved in an interview with Piers Morgan. And George Galloway noticed and said something about it. And I'm like, oh shit. Bro, when I read that tweet from George, because I hadn't even put two and two together. At the time I was, so worried about everybody there. I hadn't even put two together because I forgot that Morandi goes to that studio to conduct his interviews. I'm like, yo, no, Piers wouldn't. And then I remember Rupert Murdoch. I remember who paid his bills. I remember how many times I watched people sit up there on camera and give him all of the facts. And even after he received all of the facts, he will look at you like you didn't say a motherfucking word and just repeat the exact same Zionist talking points. And it would make sense. It would make all the sense in the world that he would have to revert to the mean, that he would have to regress to the average, because this is a new front for Israel. Israel crossed the line before, therefore, it was like shit. For the sake of the show, you can admit, like, yeah, they killing kids. You can say that that's bad, I guess. But this is a new front. So now he got to do what? He got to flip. He got to go back to being the Piers that we all loathe and detest. But like the fact that it is a real possibility that was coordinated and Piers is involved, bro. I mean, I know Piers is a piece of shit, but that is like that's next level. And it's also something that Israel and the Mossad would do. These motherfuckers have killed more journalists in the last year and a half than any country has killed any amount of journalists in the history of the world. I would venture to make a guess that all the countries combined in the history of the world have never collectively killed as many journalists as Israel has killed, and their families, not just the journalists, but their families too, in the last year. Literally. It's not even hyperbole. So, would y'all put it past Israel to do this? No. I mean, targeting journalists is what they do. But would y'all put it past Piers to set up an interview specifically to carry out this goal? No, actually, I wouldn't. I guess that's what the scary part is. And it looks like my man George Galloway would not put it past him either and call his ass out directly. I know George don't pull no punch when it comes to Piers tap dancing at.
By my team. To be clear, I'm being told by my team in my ear as we speak that outside of Iran, there has been no independent verification of what you are saying. So
It's
you are
on
believing.
television,
So you
Piers.
are believing the
It's
words
on
of the
television.
Iranian
Open your phone.
regime. And
You
forgive
can
me.
see the
And
video.
forgive me if I will wait for independent corroboration
Bruh.
before believing what the Iranian regime
You don't
says.
believe
You
don't
Iranian
believe
are an
regime.
Iranian
Marandi.
regime
You
stooge
don't believe
who believes
that
anything they
Professor
say.
Marandi, your frequent guest, that gentleman,
Yeah,
was
he's not a
bombed
gentleman.
today. He's not
He's
a
not
gentleman.
a gentleman.
I think most.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we would call a dog whistle. And I want to be very clear. Piers Morgan is a racist piece of shit. So like he does view non-white people, and I would probably venture to say even specifically non-British people as less than. And you can see the way that how he goes about conducting his interviews and how he talks to people. Like calling Morandi is one of the kindest people. Even in his disagreements, he's a very kind individual. He's not a gentleman. He's not. What? Bruh.
Of the people who've ever watched him think he's a gentleman.
No,
And
I
they
don't think he's a
don't think he's
gentleman. I
lying.
think he's a very disingenuous man who
They
spews a lot of
don't
bullshit.
think he's
actually.
lying, Piers. They don't think he's lying.
Oh, they do,
When
George. They do.
he's-
They do.
They think he's lying when he says he was bombed in the Iranian TV station
He
today.
wasn't bombed. He was on
There's
air talking to
footage.
me. What are you talking about?
There's footage
How was he bombed
on
and
every
talking to me?
media platform.
Actually, yeah, we all saw, y'all all saw that footage, right? Where they were bombed. They had to, and at least for the live show on another part of the studio, the girl, the fucking building's coming down. The presenter had to run because the fucking ceiling was coming down. They moved to a different part of the studio, resumed, and literally she was like, "Do it again, motherfuckers." Basically, is what she said. There's more than like, I was impressed, honestly, the fact that they were able to keep it up and run. But unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that they reinforced their buildings to prepare for such things. That's the unfortunate reality of it. But like, are we? Did everybody in the studio fake being bombed? Like, so even the text, because my interview, I was supposed to be, my interview got canceled, y'all. Because where they were supposed to conduct it at, it wasn't possible. They had limited resources available to do interviews. I'm assuming the reason that his interview was able to continue was because he was in studio, so they didn't have to connect outside. I'm a remote interview, so it's different. But my interview was canceled, and they were terrified. So like everybody's lying. And I wasn't aware that Morandi was supposed to conduct an interview with Piers Morgan, and I got the information. So everybody lying, Piers, and like fucking George said, it was on TV. It's like, open your phone. There are other parts of the studio that were live at the time that they show what happened. Oh, hold up. Let me see if I can find it. Damn. I'm gonna finish letting George cook his ass, and I'm gonna show y'all.
Platform
He was talking to
of
me.
the TV station
How on
burning.
earth was he being bombed
Anyway,
as
listen,
he talked to
Piers.
me? Complete
Piers.
nonsense, man.
Piers,
You're talking
as
nonsense.
your dick is so much bigger than my dick, as your dad is so much bigger than my dad, and as your television program is so much bigger and better than mine,
Yeah.
I'll say goodnight to you because I have rather more wholesome people.
Oh, you're running
to
away.
talk to.
Okay.
No, I'm not running
You're
away,
running
but I
away.
won't be coming back
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I made the mistake of thinking that you were an honest man.
Yeah.
In fact, you're a slippery.
That's okay, because I never made
Disingenuous.
that mistake with you.
You're
So don't worry about it. I never made that mistake with you, George. I always thought you were thoroughly disingenuous, and you prop up these evil regimes for
Damn, bro. I think that Piers Morgan might be half Israeli the way all that confessing out here. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of accusations going on. We already know he's literally accusing George of being everything that he is. This is Piers. Like, really, bro? You're calling George disingenuous? You're calling George and Morandi disingenuous? You, Piers? Okay.
Reasons that completely baffle me. And you think you're
that
the
why
right
you-
guy.
is that why
You think
every
you're the
single
honest
week-
guy. And actually,
Is
you
that
know what?
why
You're
every
the
week
kind
you
of
ask
guy
me
that
onto your
one
show,
minute you call
Piers?
me a rat, the next minute I'm your hero and you're praising me. It's pathetic.
Is that why you ask me
Pathetic,
onto your show
disingenuous
every
crap.
single week, Piers?
Sorry?
Flex!
Every single week. I've got the text. Every single week you ask me onto your show.
He said every single week you blowing up my phone like a side chick who got cut off. Piers, get off my dick. Called him out every single week. And if he's saying every single week, I believe him. Because he wouldn't just make that up. That's a very specific ass accusation. He said every single week, and he ain't emailing him. He's texting him, begging him to come on. Hey, I have some free time. If you're available, George, I know you're so busy trying to travel and run for politics and winning elections and spending time with your family and you got your own show up. Hey, man, just don't forget about me, okay? Your boo, Piers.
Because I'm all these things you just accused me of.
No, I don't mind having you on to challenge you. No problem.
Every week.
No
You
problem.
ask me every week.
You apparently
You
last
ask me
we last
every
asked
week.
you on
I've got
6
the
weeks ago.
text.
Why are you lying? We didn't
I've
ask you
got
on
the
6
text.
weeks.
You
We
asked
haven't
me to
asked you on
come
for 6
on
weeks.
every single
3rd
week.
of May we asked you last time. 3rd of May. You're
Your
lying.
dick may be bigger
You're
than
lying,
mine.
George.
Your
3rd
dick
of
may be
May.
bigger than
3rd of
mine.
May.
Your show
6
may
and a half,
be bigger
7
than
weeks
mine.
ago.
But I'll tell you what, Piers, you're a busted flush.
Nah, that's facts. The fact that George said he won't go on his show again, it speaks volumes. That speaks volumes because you can tell he was genuinely and George and Piers always get into it. That's not new. But it's like you gonna sit here and fucking try to tell me that you didn't watch this man get bombed, like that we didn't watch this building get bombed. You were going to literally try to pretend like this man's life wasn't in danger and then try to use the same strategy you use, whether it be to argue against Putin puppet talking points or Assad talking points or Hamas. Like you're going to use that same, this man's life is in danger, was under threat, under duress. And this is a person that George considers a friend and that you would assume that Piers would consider, at least from a professional perspective, a fellow journalist, a colleague. And the building was targeted. Like, even if it wasn't Morandi, all those people, those journalists, producers, writers, editors, fucking mailmen, like you're gonna just brush that off like it didn't happen? So all the you finally got the balls to admit that almost everything Israel was talking about before regarding Gaza was a lie, and now all of a sudden everything Israel says is the truth. Or if Israel didn't say it, it's the truth. Whose confirmation are you waiting on? Hold up. I gotta show y'all this video, because some of y'all might not have seen it. We got it on Hotspot. You know we got it on Hotspot. We got everything on Hotspot. Everything. Go follow us. Hotspot. At Hotspot. Matter of fact, my man Nick covered it. So we gonna let him talk about it. Bong bong. We gonna let Nick talk about it.
Israel kill Professor Saeed Mohammed Morandi? Did Piers Morgan collaborate with the Mossad in order to help Israel kill Professor Saeed Mohammed Morandi of the University of Tehran? Hear me out. Professor Morandi is a very well-known prominent figure who often goes on Western media outlets in order to debunk Zionist imperialist propaganda. Professor Morandi was preparing to clash with Piers Morgan when Israel bombed Press TV, where he was located. Weird. I thought Israel's goal was to get rid of Iranian's nuclear facilities. Why are they bombing Press TV and trying to murder journalists and intellectuals? It's almost like this is a war on the Iranian people instead of a war just to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. And because of his work exposing the genocidal crimes of the Israeli state, Professor Morandi has become enemy number one for the Zionist regime. So it makes sense that Israel wanted to target him. The question is, how did they know that he was going to be at Press TV giving an interview at that time? Did Piers Morgan set up Professor Morandi? Piers Morgan is a known Israeli asset who's been providing non-stop propaganda in order to justify Israel's genocidal war. Considering the Mossad has their hands all over the media in the UK, it wouldn't surprise me if Piers Morgan set up Professor Morandi. Thank God that Professor Morandi survived Israel's assassination attempt. Godspeed to him and the entirety of the Iranian people who are currently resisting Israeli terrorism.
No. At the same time that interview was happening, this happened.
صدایی که شنیدید فضای غبارآلوده استدیو.
And there's a video showing where the attack came from, in case Piers was curious.
که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلوده استدیو.
Bruh. Yeah, the lady, she did survive. She actually went back on air like a boss. She like a boss. Bro, I would have. These people built different. I want to say that I would have been shaking. Actually, no, my ass. I probably would have been on air, but using a lot more cuss words and saying some shit. But these people built different. I will tell you that. She could have been crushed. I mean, there's so many things that could have. Like you gotta think about it. They're about to go to work every day this week. They didn't take off. They didn't like, yo, man, please take a mental health day. Like, go be with your families. Y'all could have lost your lives today. No. She went right back on air like 30, 45 minutes later. Like, nah, cuz y'all gonna keep getting this work. I'm gonna keep telling this truth. Y'all bombing me because of what the fuck I'm saying. Y'all are bombing me because I'm telling the truth. That's why Israel bombs and attacks journalists. That's crazy. I don't see a fucking nuclear weapon under this studio, but y'all have no problem attacking it. That's why y'all bombing us. And that's why George is like, I'm not going back on your show. Because when we had disagreements, that's one thing. We could even have fierce disagreements. We could call each other names, but bro, you were about to sit here and pretend like this man's life wasn't in danger, and now you look even more suspect. Now you look even more suspect. Because you're going to pretend like you had no, like, no, that I'm not going to, you're going to believe what Iran says. What? No, motherfucker, we all watched it. We all saw it. All of us. We all got phones. We got side by side. We know when she came back. Morandi was talking to you. Like I said, I was literally texting, preparing to do an interview. I'm going to see, whenever we do this show, so the plan, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, me, David, Huyeden, and Nick Cruz from RBN, but I'm doing a hotspot stream. All the hotspot content creators. And I'm going to try to see if I can screenshot, not her personal information or anything like that, but like where we're talking about the studio that was attacked. Because, like, you telling me everybody lying, Piers? The video lying. Morandi lying. The presenter lying. The producer I was talking to lying. I'm lying. Everybody lying. everybody's lying? Come on, guys. That is kind of terrifying, huh? It's just like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. We're running cover for Zionists as they attack journalists in other countries. Cause like, where, like, I know you don't got any integrity, Piers, but where the fuck is your humanity at? Where is your human? That's why he not going, like, nah, we're not, this is beyond politics now. This is beyond journalism. This is beyond debates. This is beyond disagreements. This is beyond all of that. This is like you have a genuine apathy, a lack of concern for people who have nothing to do with this war. In a war, by the way, that they did not start, advocating on behalf of their people through journalism, through the fourth estate that you are supposedly a part of, that you supposedly support. That isn't, you are a fucking psychopath. You are a sociopath. You are a fucking sociopath. And apparently you're fucking needy. Messaging George Galloway every damn week. Please, George, just consider it. Please. I'm running out of people to debate me. Nobody wants to come on my show anymore. I don't know why. It probably has something to do with the fact that I never listen to anyone. I invite them on my show just to speak over them. But, you know, you and I, George, I could never speak over you. You're my fave. Wink, wink. Oh, man. Y'all, like this video, share this video. You support the show by joining Patreon, becoming a premium subscriber here on YouTube. Sharing obviously helps. Help us get to 1 million subs, y'all. Like I said, if you're watching on Twitter right now, go to YouTube and subscribe. Help us get to 1 million subs by next year. And let's just piss off a bunch of establishment people by helping some random bro that hates the duopoly and is anti-war get to 1 million subs. You don't even have to watch ever again. You probably should once again because you might learn something. But just go. I think we can do it. I think we can do it. If Mr. Beast can do random shit that doesn't help anybody, no offense, and become super famous for just doing random shit, just spending a bunch of money and doing random shit, pretty sure we can get to 1 million for being one of the few journalists that are willing to tell the truth at all costs. Sub. Go subscribe right now. Right now. Much love, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning into this live stream segment of For the People podcast. Make sure to go follow me on Twitter at Real Niko House. Follow us on Hotspot as well at Hotspot. But remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.